Welcome into a new series that we're going to be doing every single Friday. We're changing it up on the channel. It's called Based on the Numbers. Now, we're going to break down the top 5 in every single position. We're talking quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. We're looking at the top 5 worst defenses per position. So we're going to look at who was the worst. Let's say, for example, quarterback, who gave up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So we're going to give you the top 5, whether they're all pros, whether they're sneaky plays, it doesn't matter. We're just giving you the best player in that specific position based on how bad the defenses are thus far this season. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, kicking it off here at the quarterback position, the top 5 quarterbacks you could put in your lineup based on these defenses. Ranked last in the league, giving up the most points to opposing quarterbacks, is the Denver Broncos, and that's going to be Justin Fields out there going against them. Justin Fields have been absolutely putrid, and even though the Denver Broncos is giving up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, I still would not recommend Justin Fields, but he is the #1 quarterback right now as far as by the numbers, going against the worst defense in the NFL. Coming in at number 2, going against the LA Chargers, would be the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo. Just a side note, as of the recording of this video, Jimmy Garoppolo is still going through that concussion protocol, so please do yourself a favor on Sundays and look and make sure he is available before you put him in your lineup. But he is going against the second worst defense for opposing quarterbacks, so he could be somebody that you could put in your lineup if you're in some type of a rut or you need a quarterback to just fill in for you. Giving up the 3rd most points to fantasy quarterbacks, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, and that'll be Bryce Young going against him. Now, he didn't play last week. He did have an ankle injury, and if he sits out yet again, it would be Andy Dalton in this slot. But again, make sure you check in your lineups on Sunday as of this video recording. Bryce Young has not been ruled in or out for this Sunday. Giving up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks is the Philadelphia Eagles, and that'll be Sam Howell going against him. I do like Sam Howell. I think he has a lot of good things and a lot of bad things that he's doing. He's a young guy and he has growing pains, but he does have weapons around him. Brian Robinson in the backfield, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. He's got weapons around him. So Sam Howell, somebody, again, if you have somebody that could be injured, if you have somebody that you need a spot start, Sam Howell going against those Eagles could be somebody you look at. And again, giving up the 5th most points to fantasy quarterbacks, we're talking about the Indianapolis Colts, and that's going to be Matthew Stafford. As you guys saw in my Wednesday video, going over the football with Matthew Stafford, or that would actually be my Thursday video that I put out for all my starts for Matthew Stafford. You saw that he was one of my value targets of the week. Stafford, I think, has an opportunity to put up 300 plus passing yards against this Colts defense. I think Matthew Stafford would be a great play this week. Moving right along to the top 5 running backs based by the numbers, who's given up the most points to opposing running backs, is the Denver Broncos. Of course, they've been putrid this season, and the best running back in that situation, I believe, will be Roschon Johnson. As you saw in my video yesterday, I have Roschon Johnson as one of my starts to be with. Roschon Johnson is somebody that I think eventually will take over that #1 role over Khalil Herbert. He already took over Deonta Foreman. Now, like I said yesterday, he's got Khalil Herbert in his sights, and I think Roschon Johnson is the best running back this week to be on the field going against that putrid Denver Broncos defense. I can't stand him. Now, the team giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing running backs, we're talking about the Chicago Bears, and who else? It's going to be Javonte Williams. So that Denver-Chicago game is going to be a running haven type of game, but Javonte Williams is on there. I personally probably wouldn't start Javonte Williams just based off of the whole team as a whole is puke. But if you do have the gallstones to start Javonte Williams, he is going against that 2nd worst rush defense in the NFL. So pretty good start if you ask me. I'm just saying it just makes me want to vomit. Going over the 3rd team who gives up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing running backs, we're talking about the Carolina Panthers, and that's going to be none other than Alexander Mattison. Now, Madison does have Cam Akers coming in here. He should be able to play. Not sure if they're going to give Cam Akers a full little workload. They may give him a little carries here or there. Alexander Mattison got the bell cow type of work, had a pretty good game last week. He should have a really good game this week against Carolina as well, as I don't think Cam Akers is going to keep chewing it. As long as Alexander Mattison can produce at a solid level, I think they're going to keep giving him the rock. But I know they're frustrated with all the turnovers, so it could be Cam Akers' job sooner rather than later. I just think for this week, Alexander Madison is the go-to running back in that backfield. Now, get up the 4th most points to opposing fantasy running backs. We're talking about the Houston Texans, and that'll be Najee Harris. Like, again, you guys saw my video yesterday. Najee Harris is my Bengal Tiger start of the week. I think he's going to have a phenomenal game against the Houston Texans. I like what I see. I like the bell cow work. He had 19 carries last week. He should get over 20 carries this week. I love Najee Harris against Houston. Get that guy in your lineup. Now, the 5th team that given up the 5th most points to opposing fantasy running backs would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that would obviously be Dameon Pierce there. Pierce not really running with any type of force here lately. He needs to get back to how he was running last week. They had Devin Singletary actually rushed for way more times than Dameon Pierce and had more yards than Dameon Pierce, so he needs to get it together, and I think he can do it this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's move right along to the wide receivers. Who's given up the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers is the LA Chargers, and that means you need to be starting Devontae Adams. Now, we do know, are they going to have Jimmy Garoppolo? Are they not? It could be Kevin O'Connell, as who I think they would give it. Probably not Brian Hoyer, but I would say Kevin O'Connell, I would hope would be the quarterback if Jimmy Garoppolo cannot go. But either way, Devontae Adams is still going to be a stud this week, no matter who's throwing him the football, because the Chargers can't guard any receivers. Who's given the 2nd most points to opposing fantasy wide receivers is the Seattle Seahawks, and I think the best wide receiver on the Giants team is Darius Slayton, because he's getting the most opportunities. So he would be the guy I have to pick if I had to pick one from this puke show of the Giants type of wide receiver. So Darius Slayton, get him in your lineup if you need a flex play or a wide receiver 3 type of play. Who's given up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers? We're talking about Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings, it's Adam Thielen going against that. That's going to be the Carolina Panthers, and I hope that it's going to be Andy Dalton at the quarterback position, because Bryce Young is a lot of cock-a-doodle right now. He's not doing very well, not seeing the field very well, but you know, as Andy Dalton started last week, Adam Thielen shined. He absolutely shined. So get Adam Thielen in your lineup. You're going to like that you did. The team giving up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers is the Tennessee Titans. That means Jamar Chase is on your radar. He is the number 1 wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He has a good connection with Joe Burrow, and I think that since they got the win last week, I think they're going to continue on that with the Tennessee Titans. Look for some fireworks from Jamar Chase. I think he's going to go absolutely nuclear this week. The team giving up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as you guys seen from my video yesterday, Nico Collins is the wide receiver that I want. Tank Dell's still going to have a really, really good game, I think, just against the secondary. But Nico Collins should get back to that number 1 type of production or role with the Texans. Moving right along to the top 5 tight ends we have here. The team giving up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends is the Philadelphia Eagles, and that means the Commanders' Cole Turner will be the option that I want to go there. We all know Logan Thomas out with that concussion protocol. Cole Turner should probably be starting yet again, and he got a lot of targets last game, so I think he should be definitely in the lineup. Technically, he is the tight end 3 for this team, but he's the guy that I would want as far as the pass catching tight end. Get Cole Turner in your lineup. Just make sure that it's not Logan Thomas starting for any reason. But I do believe if I had to put money on it, it would be Cole Turner. Who's getting the 2nd most points to fantasy tight ends would be the New York Jets. That's obviously going to be Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. This guy is a stud. He's going to have a monster game this week. Now with Taylor Swift up there and in the box cheering him on, you know Travis Kelce is going to go complete ham sauce. Get the guy in your lineup. He needs no analysis. The team that's given up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends going to be none other than the Detroit Lions, and that's going to be for the Packers. As you guys seen in my Thursday matchup that I put down, we put the video out Wednesday for the Thursday Night Football, is Luke Musgrave, the tight end for the Green Bay Packers. And again, if he wasn't missed on that big target down the middle of the field against the Saints, you would have saw him with a bigger stat line than you did last week. But Luke Musgrave, he getting plenty of targets in this offense. Get this guy in your lineup. He should have a really good week. Who's getting the 4th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends? We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, Chigokonkwo. Now, you guys saw him in my video yesterday as well. Chigokonkwo should be absolutely phenomenal for you. I think a lot of people are really disappointed. He got a lot of bad taste in his mouth. He was very hyped up. He should have been a lot better than what he is now. I think this is the week they finally get it back on track. Get Chigokonkwo in your lineups, in my opinion. And the team giving up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends is the Las Vegas Raiders, and that means means Gerald Everett time. Again, like I said in the video yesterday, you know, Quentin Johnston is not up to speed yet. Mike Williams is gone for the season. They're going to need somebody, especially in that red zone, to make some plays, and I think that is going to be Gerald Everett. Get this guy in your lineup. You'll be glad that you did. As always, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys like this new series that we're going to be doing on Fridays. It's not going to be these 40 to 50 minute videos breaking down each and every single week. We may start doing some live streams coming on during the season, maybe Sundays, maybe even Saturdays, to fill that type of void. But right now, I wanted to give you guys even a less of a video that wasn't 40 minutes long to break down something that could be fantasy relevant for you each and every week, as our ultimate goal is to give you guys the best lineup possible, the best players to put into your lineup, give me the most information, that way you can make the best decision possible. Ultimately, at the end of the season, hopefully we're all lifting up the trophy. But again, I can't wait to see you guys on another video. Hit that subscribe button. We're getting really close to 700 subscribers. Help us get to that far. Hit that subscribe button, that way you never miss a video we drop out. We're doing them every Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. On Wednesdays, you're looking for Thursday Night Football. On Thursdays, we're putting out our kind of value starts of the week, and on Fridays we're going over our by the numbers new series. So guys, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we'll see you guys on the next video. We'll guys see you next Wednesday.